54. Yeah, what I was interrupted. I had this as a over the sink. It's bright enough to really help out, you know. But like I said, I realized afterwards I had just peeled the sticky off and just, and it fell off once already. Well, this was the last time. I'm not doing it again. But you know, make sure if you get these and you're going to do the Velcro number, peel the Velcro away from the Velcro, then mark it where you got to put it, and then, or just get a bigger strip. I mean, these are just cheap, you know. I mean, come on, 2 little tabs of Velcro. You know, just put a strip all the way across here, and then you can, when you put it up there, you can seat it in there real good. Plus, these little things are indented where that Velcro is, so it's limiting the amount of Velcro that's going to catch on Velcro. Or just cut a little bit bigger ones. Anyway, you know, just don't just peel the sticky off and stick them up there, because that ain't going to be. I knew the second I did it, I was like, oops. And I should have peeled them off right then, peeled the Velcro away from the Velcro, and then really stuck them up there. And they got magnets there too, like I said. And you can hang it like a light switch. So, they're very good. They're an awesome deal, and they're a couple of AAAs. So, good deals. All right, so that was my interruption. So, part 4. Mark could see that something was still bothering the old man. There was no sense in asking him, though if he wanted to say something, he would. Kurt dropped them off at Mark's house, and they assembled the rest of the security committee. They were quickly filled in, and then Gunny told them what he wanted to do. He planned to create 15 teams to cover the 11 sites. That way each team could work 3 on and 1 off. They had 12 members on the scout teams, and each of them would be put in charge of a team since they were pretty well trained already. Gunny would take 1 team, so they just needed 2 more leaders. Chaparro and Ted both volunteered, but Gunny told them that he'd rather they stick around the neighborhood, just in case. Jim suggested Manny and Dwight, since they both had experience in tough situations. Everyone agreed that they were good choices. Mark asked how they would select the other 30 people they needed. Gunny didn't want to take anyone else who had regular guard duty. Susan suggested they ask for volunteers at the meeting tonight. It might give some people a chance to see if they liked helping out with the security details. Gunny took the opportunity to compliment Susan for a great idea. Mark was tickled that she didn't seem to know how to accept the praise, and finally stammered out an embarrassed "thank you." Gunny asked if she'd mind taking down the names at the meeting, and then for them to get back together tonight and make their selections. Everyone agreed, and the meeting broke up. It was right when I said broke up that thing fell. That's funny. Yes, nothing to see here. Moving along. All right. The President's Address, or Candlelight Chat, as one of the media's talking heads had dubbed the twice-weekly speeches, was mostly more of the same. One thing did strike Mark as a little odd. The President implored the members of the National Guard to trust the authorities to protect their loved ones while they were doing their duty. Yeah, right. I understand the need to make sure your families are secure, he said, but it is imperative for you to stand your post in this, America's greatest hour of need. Mark wondered if they were having trouble with guardsmen deserting their units to go home and take care of their own families. At the meeting, Mark explained the plan the sheriff wanted to implement. He told them that while the assignment they'd drawn wasn't dangerous, it was very important and should not be taken lightly. He told them to see Susan after the meeting if they wanted to volunteer. When the security committee got back together that evening at Gunny's, Susan informed them that 37 people had signed up. She started reading the names, but Mark had a hard time paying attention. His mind kept drifting back to what the President had said. What does it mean, he wondered. He was mentally in his own world trying to figure it out when one of the names Susan read smacked him back to the here and now. He shook his head to clear it. He must have heard her wrong. She couldn't have said David. A moment later she read the last name, and he knew he hadn't heard wrong. And the last one is Samantha Turner, Susan said. Well, we can't let teenagers do this, Mark stated. Mark, I don't know if you were paying attention or not, but 80% of the names she read are teenagers, Ted informed him. Then I guess we'll just have to ask people to volunteer. Wait just a second, Karate Man. Why couldn't we use the young folks? You said yourself it wasn't dangerous, Gunny said. Yeah, but they have to go to school, Mark insisted. Mark, Ted said, I know how you feel. Alex signed up too, but this could be an excellent learning experience for the kids, and it's only going to be for a week or so. Besides that, Gunny said, them kiddos got better eyes than us old farts. Mark didn't like this. Everyone was talking and looking at him like he was wrong. He wasn't wrong. He was right. They were all wrong. Those last two thoughts rattled around in Mark's head for a minute. All of them were wrong, and he was right? How likely was that? He realized he was the one being hard-headed. He admitted it and apologized. They went through the list and eliminated 4 of the volunteers right away for eyesight or mobility problems. They divided the list by gender and found that they had 1 too many males and 2 extra females if they were going to keep the teams one gender. Everyone agreed that they should. They went through the boys' names first to see if there was someone who shouldn't go. When they got to Alex's name, Mark spoke up. Alex is George's backup. He should be learning from George instead of being on a team. But Mark, isn't David Chaparro's backup? Ted asked. Shouldn't the same go for him? Ted had a valid point. However, he didn't know everything Mark did. Mark wondered how he could keep Alex off without tipping his hand about George's illness. That's true, but we only have 1 extra guy. I think it's more important for Alex to stay on his regular job because the planting and harvesting of crops is more time sensitive than what David's learning. Unless Chaparro has some project where he really needs David or something that David can't learn another time, I say Alex should come off the list. Everyone looked at Chaparro. We're not doing anything we haven't already done before, and I don't know of anything coming up that can't wait. Let him do it if he wants. That seemed to satisfy all of the committee members, and they looked at the female list. No one could see any reason to disqualify any of the girls, so they drew names out of a hat. Doc Vasquez's daughter, Amanda, and Brittany Jordan, Dwight Rittiman's niece, were the 2 names drawn. Susan volunteered to let everyone know who was selected and to divide them into teams. Gunny told her to tell them they'd all meet after church the next day. He asked Jim to make sure all of them could shoot well enough not to kill each other. The meeting broke up and Mark walked home. His 2 children, wanting to know if they'd been selected, greeted him at the door. He told them they had, reminded them of the importance, and told them that he expected them to set an excellent example for the other kids. The next morning, Brother Bob kept the church service short since it was still raining. Gunny mustered his new recruits and their leaders right afterward. They were standing on one of the empty lots right in the middle of the downpour. Between the claps of thunder, Gunny thundered about how this wasn't going to be some kind of picnic, and if they didn't like standing in the rain, then maybe this wasn't for them. He told them it might be a cold, wet, miserable job, but it was important, and no matter how unpleasant the weather, it had to be done. He said if anyone had a problem with any of their team members, they better work them out. No disagreements could get in the way of performing the tasks at hand to the best of their ability. He told everyone they were responsible for providing their own equipment, including a rifle and at least 100 rounds of ammo. They'd have to prove to Jim that they could handle the weapon safely and shoot it accurately. He told anyone who wanted out or couldn't meet those requirements to come see him. Otherwise, they were to go get their rifles and report to the shooting range. No one went to see Gunny. When they got to the shooting range, Mark saw the most eclectic array of weapons he had ever imagined. There were shotguns and pumps, autoloaders, and double barrels. Rifles ran the gamut from old lever actions to the latest pistol caliber carbines. A few of the youths even brought .22 rifles. Mark asked Gunny if he thought they should make them get something a little more potent. Nah, he answered. If that's what they're comfortable with, let them carry them. Chances of them getting into a situation where they have to use them is pretty slim. Besides, that might be all they have, and we don't have enough community rifles to lend to anyone, lend one to everybody. Jim had the shooters come to the line one at a time, load their weapons, and fire 5 rounds at a target. From observing them, he dismissed the ones who were adequately skilled and had the others remain for some further instruction. Samantha was in the latter group. On Monday, Kurt came with Rob and picked up Gunny, Mark, and Jim. They surveyed each place that needed to be watched and picked out a place where their group could observe. They set the OPs close to the county line on the utility easements, but the ones on the roads were set far enough away from the line, so if any group went around the National Guard roadblock, they had plenty of room to go back to the road. They found great cover for the OPs in almost all of the locations. There was only one spot where they couldn't find a place as far from the road as they would have liked. Gunny said he'd make sure the team he placed there could be very quiet. Jim snickered, and the old man asked him what was so funny. Jim did his best Elmer Fudd impersonation and said, "Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits." All 5 men had a good laugh. The rest of the week, Gunny lectured, drilled, and tested the observation groups, or OGs, as they had started calling them for short. He made sure each member could give an accurate report about a traveling group regarding size, arms, and apparent skill. The rain gradually subsided over the first 3 days of the next week, and by Thursday it had cleared off and cooled down. By Friday, every observation group was performing at or above the standard Gunny had set. He announced that, starting tomorrow, they'd be watching the routes and reporting on any movement they saw. Mark hoped this whole exercise proved to be unnecessary, but something in his gut told him it wouldn't.